Hi, second graders. My name is Shelby and I'm from Partnership for Kids. Thank you so much for being at school today so you can watch this video. It's important to be at school when you can and to be on time and to work hard on all your assignments and your projects because school is your number one job right now. Today we are talking about communities and our book is about communities. So a community is basically just a group of people who are united by something, and there can be really big communities like Omaha, or small communities like a club or a sport that you're in, or even your neighborhood would count as a small community. So since we've talked a little bit about communities, a community that I am a part of would be Partnership for Kids because I work here and my coworkers are also in my community with me. So our book is about communities and it is called A Chair for My Mother and it's by Vera Williams. And if you have your copy of the book with you, feel free to get it out and follow along. Okay. My mother works as a waitress in the Blue Tile Diner. After school sometimes, I go to meet her there. Then her boss Josephine gives me a job too. I wash the salts and peppers and fill the ketchups. One time I peeled all the onions for the onion soup. When I finish, Josephine says, "Good work, honey," and pays me. And every time I put half of my money into the jar. It takes a long time to fill a jar this big. Every day when my mother comes home from work, I take down the jar. My mama empties all her change from tips out of her purse for me to count. Then we push all of the coins into the jar. Sometimes my mama is laughing when she comes home from work. But sometimes she's so tired she falls asleep while I count the money out into piles. Some days she has lots of tips, and some days she only has a little. Then she looks worried, but each evening every single shiny coin goes into the jar. We sit in the kitchen to count the tips. Usually Grandma sits with us too. While we count, she likes to hum. Often she has money in her old leather wallet for us. Whenever she gets a good bargain on tomatoes or bananas or something she buys, she puts by the savings and they go into the jar. When we can't get a single other coin into the jar, we are going to take out all the money and go and buy a chair. Yes, a chair. A wonderful, beautiful, fat, soft armchair. We will get one covered in velvet flowers and roses all over it. We are going to get the best chair in the whole world. That is because our old chair burned up. There was a big fire in our other house. All our chairs burned, so did our sofa, and so did everything else. That wasn't such a long time ago. My mother and I were coming home from buying new shoes. I had new sandals. She had new pumps. We were walking to our house from the bus. We were looking at everyone's tulips. She was saying she liked the red tulips, and I was saying I liked the yellow ones. Then we came to our block. Right outside our house stood two big fire engines. I could see lots of smoke. Tall orange flames came out of the roof. All the neighbors stood in a bunch across the street. Mama grabbed my hand and we ran. My Uncle Sandy saw us and ran to us. Mama yelled, "Where's Mother?" I yelled, "Where's my grandma?" My Aunt Ida waved and shouted, she's here, she's okay, don't worry." Grandma was all right. Our cat was safe too, though it took a while to find her. But everything else in our whole house was spoiled. What was left of the house was turned to charcoal and ashes. We went to stay with my mother's sister, Aunt Ida, and Uncle Sandy. Then we were able to move into the apartment downstairs. We painted the walls yellow. The floors were all shiny, but the rooms were very empty. first day we moved in, the neighbors brought pizza and cake and ice cream, and they brought a lot of other things too. The family across the street brought a table and 3 kitchen chairs. The very old man next door gave us a bed from when his children were little. My other grandpa bought us a beautiful rug. My mother's other sister, Sally, had made us red and white curtains. Mama's boss, Josephine, brought us pots and pans, silverware, and dishes. My cousin brought me her own stuffed bear. Everyone clapped when my grandma made a speech. "You are all the kindest people," she said, "and we thank you very, very much. It's lucky we're young and can start over." That was last year, but we still have no sofa and no big chairs. When Mama comes home, her feet hurt. "There's no good place for me to take a load off my feet," she says. When Grandma wants to sit back and hum and cut up potatoes, she has to get as comfortable as she can on a hard kitchen chair. So that is how come Mama brought home the biggest jar she could find at the diner, and all the coins are to go into the jar. Now the jar is too heavy for me to lift down. Uncle Sandy gave me a quarter. He had to boost me up so I could put it in. After supper, Mama and Grandma and I stood in front of the jar. "Well, I never would have believed it, but I guess it's full," Mama said. My mother brought home little paper wrappers from the nickels and dimes and the quarters. I counted them all out and wrapped them all up. On my mother's day off, we took all the coins to the bank. The bank exchanged them for $10 bills. Then we took the bus downtown to shop for our chair. We shopped through 4 furniture stores. We tried out big chairs and smaller ones, high chairs and low chairs, soft chairs and harder ones. Grandma said she felt like Goldilocks and the 3 bears, trying out all the chairs. Finally, we found the chair we were all dreaming of, and the money in the jar was enough to pay for it. We called Aunt Ida and Uncle Sandy. They came right down in their pickup truck to drive the chair home for us. They knew we couldn't wait for it to be delivered. I tried out our chair in the back of the truck. Mama wouldn't let me sit there while we drove, but they let me sit in it while they carried it up to the door. We set the chair right beside the window with the red and white curtains. Mama and Grandma and I sat in it a while Aunt Ida took our picture. Now Grandma sits in it and talks with people going by in the daytime. Mama sits down and watches the news on TV when she comes home from her job. After supper, I sit with her and she can reach right up and turn out the light if I fall asleep in her lap. And there's the picture that Aunt Ida took. Well, I hope that you all enjoyed that book. You guys, if you don't have a copy already, you will receive one that will be yours to take home. So after we read that book, there were a few examples of community in it. So if you could answer 2 questions, and if your teacher could pause the video to have a few students share their answers, that'd be awesome. But if you could answer what community or communities you saw in the book, if you saw more than one, that's fine. And how do you know that it was a community? So if your teacher could pause the video and then hit play when you are ready, that'd be awesome. Thank you. Okay, well, thank you for those of you who shared. If some more students could share the answer to this next question, that'd be great too. Um, if some people could share what community they belong to, remember this could be a sport team or a club, a church, your neighborhood, something like that. So you can pause the screen again, pause the video again, and then hit play when you're done sharing. Okay, well, thank you again for sharing. I'm sure you guys had some awesome, amazing ideas. So, some examples that we came up with for different communities that we are all a part of and that we can all relate to. So, your first one would be your school, since you're all there to learn. That is a community that you're a part of as well. And something a little bit bigger than that is Omaha. We've talked about this a little bit, but since we all live in the city of Omaha, that's another community that we're a part of. And bigger than Omaha would be our state, which is Nebraska, which is also another community. And then bigger than our state would be our country. So the United States is another community, but it's just a little bit bigger. And then even bigger, the biggest, would be Earth. As we talked about before, communities can be really, really small, like your neighborhood, and as big as the Earth. So thank you so much, second graders, for being at school and for watching this video. And for reading along with me. I hope you guys learned a lot about communities. And so to just take some time to think about the communities that you're a part of and have a great rest of your day. Thank you.